Welcome back to one of the best shows we've done in months. Jonathan Taylor wants out of Indianapolis. The relationship has been simmering. Now we're at full boil. Colts looking for a first-round pick in exchange for the 24-year-old, who, loudly checks notes, is amazing. Third in rushing yards, tied for second rushing touchdowns. He's got the most rushing first downs. He's got the most 50-yard runs tied. And he's also the fastest guy. Brew, over here with the bandaged Greg Jennings, who wouldn't let us sign his cast. Chemistry is the key to the show, Greg. Are you surprised the Colts are doing this, Brew?
No, not at all. What is the best way to get a player who's upset with you because you won't give him a contract extension? To let him go out there and see, we're not the only ones. 31 other teams are not going to do the same thing. This reminds me of the Ravens letting Lamar Jackson test the market to show him, you're mad at us because we won't give you a $250 million guaranteed, fully guaranteed contract. No one else is going to do it either. And Lamar got a great deal, but it made it a little easier to negotiate because you saw it's not just this team. No one's giving me this. And look, I don't even think he's going to get traded because I don't think the market, for several reasons, is going to be there for him. One, he is coming off an injury. He had surgery on his ankle in January. All right. Two, he's coming off a down year. He averaged 4.5 yards a carry.
Come on, because of the injury.
No, in the 11 games he played, he only averaged 4.5 yards a carry after 5.5 the year before and 5 his rookie year.
Yeah, but I think the argument would be that he was dealing with the injury while he was playing.
Okay,
thank you.
Still, if I'm a team, I'm wondering, okay, is this going to be the guy from 2 years ago that led the league in rushing? And then on top of that, I got to give up draft picks for him. They want a first-round pick. And on top of that, I have to sign him to a contract extension, or the anger he has with the Colts right now is going to be directed at me. And so, I think at the end of the day, he's going to have to realize there's no market for me. The best thing I can do is play for the Colts, have a great year. They improve the offensive line.
And then they franchise tag him, and he just deals with it.
You got to get the money you can get. It's still going to be, I get it. The running backs are getting screwed.
Yeah.
But it's going to be the best money he can get. I just don't think he's going to get traded.
I am surprised by all of this because it's self-imposed. Like, Irsay did this. Yeah. He started all of this. If he leaves his comments in his mind and doesn't put them to paper or to Audible where we can all hear what he thought, like, none of this is even a question. None of this is even considered on the table. However, when I look at their situation currently right now, why would you want to nip this? Because you've deemed Anthony Richardson your starting quarterback, and he's a rookie. Yes. The number one way to support a quarterback entering into the National Football League is to give him a running game. Well, you got a guy that established that for you. We know who he is. The injuries last year is what riddled him. But Jonathan Taylor is a bona fide back in this league. He is proven. You get a guy who is not proven. I love the upside of Anthony Richardson, but it's still an unknown. We don't know what he's going to be. They don't know what he's going to be. They know what the stable guy in the backfield, if it's JT, is.
So, listen, I agree with that entirely. The only thing I disagree with this, I'm not surprised at all. Because Indy is a terribly run franchise.
Well,
I mean, what are we talking? You got Jim Irsay. One of the things that he put to a paper or to Twitter was essentially like, we all know what the running back market is, which is telling the whole world my car is not worth a dime. By the way, I'd like double market value for it because now it's for sale. The whole incongruity of running backs are not valuable. We want a first-round pick for our angry running back, to me, is foolish. Where I disagree with you, Brew, is I do not think if a team were to trade for him, I don't think they have to give him a contract. I think Jonathan Taylor has the leverage to potentially get a new contract with Indy or the leverage to force his way out of Indy. I do not think he has the leverage to force a trade and then also get the contract. I think you use up to a degree. A team can say, listen, man, we just traded for you. You have done nothing here. We gave up a lot for you. We're not paying you ahead of time. And then what can he do?
He's not going to be upset?
I don't think he'd be as upset. I don't think you're as upset with a organization you have done nothing for than a team that you have done a lot for on a cheap contract.
Right.
Where I agree.
It's about money.
I understand, but it grew.
Wherever he's at, he wants the money, and I get it.
I get that, but I also think Jonathan Taylor is a logical actor and will understand if a team trades for him and says, listen, we traded for you, and we will, in good faith, enter into negotiations next year when you're a free agent, but we're not giving you a new deal right now. I think he will know, well, I can't, I have no cards to play.
Absolutely.
I'm out of, I just got traded. I got no cards to play. Where I think we all agree is that, or I think so, is that the Colts need the player. And if you draft a guy who I supported the draft pick, because if you're in the AFC, you have to draft upside for quarterback because you're fighting against Goliaths. Mm-hmm. Anthony Richardson had the highest upside, but he is so raw. Mm-hmm. And Jonathan Taylor's beloved in that locker room. And because you drafted a quarterback who is making no money, if there was ever a time you could pay a little extra for a running back and have it not kill you, would be right now. Yeah. Instead, they're torching their relationship with their best player. I think it's foolish.
Next team odds, Miami in the driver's seat at 1. Miami's always on the cusp of getting everybody. Then the Bucs, which I don't like at all. The Bills, holy cow, that'd be scary for me.
Baker, Jonathan Taylor duo? Best quarterback running back duo in the league? Some people are saying.
God.
Go ahead.
That's actually not bad.
It actually is.
Vikings would be sneaky.
It
great.
actually is.
Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, and Jonathan Taylor, watch out. Or the Saints. Derek Carr, maybe. Greg, we'll start with you. Who do you like?
On this list, I like the Dolphins, simply because you know what they're up against in the AFC East. They have to make something happen if they really want to make a run at the Super Bowl, understanding they got to get out the AFC East, and you got Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, and all the list goes on and on. A couple other teams that would, in my mind, make sense. The Denver Broncos.
Ooh.
When I look at the Denver Broncos,
love the Denver Broncos.
It's not even that I love the Denver Broncos. I do like them this year, but there are still questions about if Russell Wilson can get back to what we thought he was or what he had been in the past. If the same thing that we're talking about with Anthony Richardson, it holds true even for Russell Wilson in that offense. You bring in Sean Payton, obviously he's going to stabilize some things, but you allow a running back in a running game to shoulder your offense, and you allow Russell Wilson time to really start getting these guys on the perimeters involved. Another team really quick, for me this will be interesting, but is the Tennessee Titans. They know that team a lot. They would have to obviously get rid of
running backs you're going to have.
Yeah, they would obviously have to get rid of Derrick Henry.
Wow. This is Greg.
Maybe should have led with that one.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
And
Get rid of Derrick Henry?
Yeah.
I get
Go
that.
back younger. This is your brand of ball. You know him better than anybody else because you play him twice a year. You know what he brings to the table. You can start to retool that all over again. No knock on Derrick Henry, but if you're trying to get younger, which the league and everybody in it always tries to get younger.
Holy cow. I wasn't expecting that one.
I really like Jonathan Taylor, and I don't like what's happening to running backs.
Yeah.
But it is happening to running backs, and I do understand it from a team and ownership standpoint. So if I'm Miami, I got Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr., who I remember them playing big roles, especially Mostert, when San Francisco went to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. No, that's
right. Lost to the Chiefs. They're good enough. They're not quite as good as Jonathan Taylor, but they're a lot cheaper, and they're good enough. And my main thing is going to be my receivers and my quarterback anyway. When teams are going to be so worried about our passing game that those two will do damage running the football.
They're saying.
So I don't know. I personally don't think any team is going to trade for him and go all in. So, I think Buffalo, to pick a team from that list, I'd love to see him in Buffalo because they need some good news. They need an insertion of something positive.
Good news. You can do it for the press release.
But he's also a good player, and he take pressure off Josh.
And they've been trying to get this right.
Playing the cold.
They drafted a running back in the third round a couple years ago. They drafted Zach Moss in the second round recently. They've been so maybe they'll feel like we've dedicated too many resources to that to a degree. So I think there's two just quick points here. The first question is how good do you think Jonathan Taylor still is?
Really good.
And Wilds' point is, and I think it's a correct one, the guy was at Wisconsin for 3 years. He ran for 1,970 yards, then 2,100 yards, then 2,000 yards. There were running backs that won Heisman trophies for doing that at Wisconsin. Jonathan Taylor was kind of overlooked, if you will, overlooked
Clyde
in the draft.
Edwards-Helaire got drafted before.
Yeah, it was a bad job. One of the few bad Chiefs draft picks. Then as a rookie, he was awesome. Second-year player is best running back in the league. And third year, he got hurt. The question is, do you think he is the down year was because of the injury or because he's worked too much? So they're both legitimate opinions. The team, I think if he's traded, it's going to be the NFC. Our guy Dusty wants the Eagles to get him because the Eagles seemingly get everybody. Of course, that would fit. The team that I would make the call and I think would potentially make the call is Seattle. And Seattle spent a second-round pick on a running back last year. They spent a second-round pick on a running back this year. If I'm Seattle and I call up Indy, I'm like, hey, you guys want first-round value. We just took Zach Charbonnet in the mid-second round. You want a running back that is cheap. We will give you him. He is a literal second-round pick from a few months ago. Throw in a fifth-rounder. And then Seattle says, we upgraded the running back position. We were trying to do that already with the draft and do that and try to go that way. That one makes a lot of sense to me.
All right.
I know you, Patriots.
No, I already have Ezekiel Elliott. I want him on the Cowboys. But
Why? You don't like Tony Pollard?
Does Tony Pollard prove he
Deuce
can go
I love
17
Tony
games?
Pollard. I love
25 carries a game?
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.